Hola from the West Side. It's me, your girl, DC the Purple Diva. And welcome to Not So Random Chat. And I know I am late. And I even pushed it back to 9:45 and I'm still late. I apologize for that on this Thursday evening, but it was rather hectic afternoon and evening for me. On the autism front, we'll start with that. My son had his annual IPP today, and hey Terry, yeah, that didn't go real cool because I have a co-parenting issue with my son's father. So that's how my day was going this afternoon. But the reason that I am late tonight is because I was at choir rehearsal and it ran over. So I apologize for being late, but I'm definitely ready to give y'all some Thursday thoughts. And I'm going to start it out with dealing with autism and co-parenting at the adult level. And I'm going to start it off with that. Hey, Tattered Hearts, how are you? Happy Thursday. So let me just start it off by saying that co-parenting is not an easy thing to do in any situation. But in my Thursday thoughts, I'm going to talk about the issue with it when parents aren't on the same page with a disabled child or adult in my case. So I think I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to also talk about the solutions that we're trying to come up with. So the first issue that can come up in dealing with someone who's on the spectrum and co-parenting, and this is even if the parents are together, is that in many situations, people have different ideas of how to parent. And this is extremely critical when we're talking about parenting someone who is already an adult legally, because the person is an adult. And so you have a fine line that you are going against, as to what situations are you going to treat them like an adult in, and in what situations are you going to, deal with them at the level that they act. Very fine line. It's a very fine line, guys. And that's where I have conflict. There's conflict between the other parent and myself. So I'm trying to keep this like a neutral situation in regards to dealing, talking about it, because the issues that we're having are, I'm going to say, are probably common issues that you have, even if you have a child that is not autistic. If you have a disabled child who is an adult. So part of the issue is that a lot of the issues that my son is having right now are behavioral. They're not medical issues. And I had a better understanding that was is what was going on, than his dad did. His dad still thinks that, you know, I mean, and I agree. Yeah, you know, it's time for our son to get his, you know, his annual with, you know, his physician, but he's now with, you know, the physician at the regional center. So it's crazy getting appointments with them. But nonetheless, when we were in the meeting, the caseworker agreed with what I said, and also agreed that realistically, nothing could be done until we actually sat down with him as the caseworker and discussed it with our son at that time, because it's a behavior issue, and we have to find out if we can get funding or not, or if it's something we have to fight Medi-Cal about. So let me just start this off by saying, hey Latoya, let me just start this off by saying that behavior therapy, which is called ABA, is important for everyone. It is not just something for individuals on the autism spectrum. However, it's probably more critical for them because of, you know, areas where they may be missing certain skills that they should have at whatever particular age they are at. And so the ABA, hey, sarcastic Sid, I'm talking about ABA, and I'm talking about my son's annual meeting today and the conflict between his father and I, which is an ongoing thing. Guys, I'm walking to get my coffee. I was so upset when I came in that I literally just dropped everything and came over here to start the show. So, got my coffee in front of me. But the thing about adaptive behavior therapy is that for someone who has autism, a lot of times there's simple things that they go through with them that me as a parent would not probably think of as the practical way to get them to learn certain skills that they are deficit in, or to get them to learn how to control certain behaviors that they may have, such as stimming or self-injurious behavior. And a lot of the things that they will are going to go over, and that they do go over, may seem really, really silly things. But the thing is that it's something about the processes that they take you through with the ABA that clicks with our kids. And in going through this ABA therapy that he's going to be doing, it's going to be critical for both his dad and myself to learn the techniques and, you know, almost become certified ourselves so that we can de-escalate situations that happen with him at home or if he's out in public. We also are going to have to get whatever program he's in, be it the program he's in now or the program that we're trying to move him to have that in there. Now, the good news about all of this, everything that happened today, even though we did have conflict, at the end of the day, both my son's dad, my ex-husband, and I both really and truly want what is best for our son. And I think that his dad did not understand that this is something that the medical doctor would end up referring us to what I'm already pursuing, because it has nothing to do with his medical condition. the medical doctor may be the one who has to approve, this going through insurance, but I was doing the right thing by contacting, you know, adaptive behavior therapy programs that I knew of that dealt with adults to start off the thing. And then now I'm going to get more information from the regional center. And here's what I'm going to say. I'm really, really, really thankful, because the person who's over the approval for my son to get these services is the same person that 23 years ago, she was his intake person at the regional center. That's where she was at that time. Now she's in charge of all of this stuff. And because she knows my son from back then and knows the history with him, then it'll probably be, approved, at least to some extent. We may have to fight to get what we really need for him. But it's going to probably take us, I'm going to say this is going to probably be a job for the next year, dealing with adaptive PE, because with adaptive behavior therapy, because my son ultimately wants to get into a performing arts program that is offered here in the Los Angeles area. And through that program, he would be able to work in the entertainment industry, either music or acting or behind the scenes. And they help individuals with disabilities to get into that field. And that, my son loves music. That's what he does. He loves music. But the problem is that he has behaviors that he can't have if he gets into that program, because he won't have someone in the program to steer him to do what he needs to do. He's going to have to be able to focus more. And with the behaviors that he has, he's not able to do that. So I know that was like a roundabout way of me venting and giving you guys the situation. But this is a common thing that happens when you're dealing with someone who is on the spectrum, especially once they have aged out of education, because at that point, it's either up to the parents to take care of what needs to be done for the adult child, or what happens in many situations is that a lot of parents put their kids into the system and they basically give them over to the state and tell the state to do whatever, I'm not one of those parents. That's not going to happen. And the state really does not want to make the decisions. They really want the parents to make the decisions. They really, really do. That's one of the reasons why they don't have all of these institutions that they used to have here in California. The thing about the therapy, Sid, is really that let me just start. When my son was diagnosed over 20-something years ago, adaptive behavior therapy was really in its infancy, and they had not gotten to the point of understanding that if you give a child intense adaptive behavior therapy early, I'm talking about before the age of 5, that they have a greater chance of becoming what people consider the undetectable autistic person. In other words, it looks like they've recovered. Basically, what they've done is they've just learned to not behave certain ways, and they've learned, they understand how to do things. They start to grasp those concepts, and that's what the adaptive behavior therapy is for. But you flash forward to now, my son was at the early stages when they didn't have this intense. They didn't have the availability. And at the time that they first introduced it, it was home-based. Now they have center bases. But because my son is an adult, we have to look for places that specifically deal with adults on the spectrum. But adaptive behavior therapy is something that someone with autism may need their entire life. And I'm talking about people who are high functioning autistic, not, people who are like in the middle of the spectrum like my son is. It doesn't really, it's something that helps them. Now they may get to a point where they don't need it, but I'm seeing that there are adults that are older than my son who never had it and may have been diagnosed later in life or diagnosed as in their teens, and they never got the adaptive therapy. They just kind of slid through, and now they're reaching out for it in their late 20s and in their 30s because they understand they need something to help them to learn how to control their own processing. Hey, Silks, how are you? Yeah. So I know normally the autism stuff kind of rolls in towards the end, but today I'm going to talk about it at the beginning because some of the behaviors that may come up with someone on the spectrum can be things that may put their safety in danger. So I'm going to give y'all guys a good example of that. A lot of times people on the spectrum, they like to make themselves appear to be invisible by covering, like putting on hats, putting on shades, wearing hoodies, like I talked about before. But as I also talked about before, that can be a problem if that person is a Black or brown male. And so that's one of the things that his dad and I really, really are trying to get to the critical point of getting him to not do that. So that's one of the first things we want them to help him with in the adaptive behavior therapy, because as I shared with you guys before, police departments are not well trained on dealing with adults with autism. They're not even well trained on dealing with children with autism. When you are dealing with meltdown situations or just with some of the behaviors. So I, as a parent, have to get my son to stop having these behaviors, because as a kid, some of the behaviors look cute, and, but once they're an adult, now that, that same thing that he could get away with as a kid, he can't get away with as an adult, What is adaptive behavior? Adaptive behavior therapy is therapy that they, I'm speaking of it as it's used with people on the autism spectrum, but what it is, it helps them to not have certain behaviors that are self-injurious or that are aggressive. It also helps with things like socialization, with knowing when other people are angry, being able to distinguish facial, by somebody's face that they're angry, because people on the spectrum, that's something that they don't really understand a lot. So it covers a lot of different things, but basically it helps them with living skills, being able to live and be able to take care of themselves at whatever level they should be taking care of themselves at their age. It helps them to get the milestones that they're not actually getting naturally because of the autism and because of how they process things. So I hope that kind of makes sense to you, Silks, and that I didn't just like go off on a tangent or something. Because I can do that very easily when it comes to the autism, but I try to not talk too technical. All right, let's see. Yeah, no, that they really aren't, Latoya, and I mean, there's been incidents, where you've had someone who had a developmental disability and they were an adult and they've been killed by police because the police didn't understand that this person had a developmental disability. Yeah, and that's good, but that's one of the facial expressions, like when I'm talking about, is when someone is sad, when they're angry, when they're happy, they don't always recognize that. They don't always recognize that. They recognize it in themselves, but they don't recognize it in someone else's by someone else's expression. So they may, sometimes our kids may appear to be empathetic, like they don't care. When they do, they just don't understand the emotion. Yeah, I mean, my son has apps on his phone that help him with facial recognition to recognize when somebody's happy or sad, because there's times where I may be angry and he's laughing because he doesn't realize that I'm angry. He thinks that I'm happy and I'm not happy. So, but I'm basically going to have to learn adaptive behavior therapy along with my son, because I will have to use those same principles in the home with him that they're going to teach. We're also going to make sure that whatever programs that he's in, that they're also implementing those, because I don't want my son to be isolated because he doesn't know how to handle himself. And it's just a matter of him getting the behavior therapy and learning the tools that he needs at his developmental level as it comes to that. And then that's another place that his father and I have differences, because I recognize that our son can do a lot more than his dad thinks he can do. And he's probably being more overcautious, but the reality is that a lot of things that I know our son is doing, he has to learn how to do these things, even if it's with assistance, because eventually we're not going to be here. We're going to be gone, like cooking. His dad refuses to even let him cook, to assist him with it. But I do, because my son is 24 years old. And yes, he does have autism. And yes, in a lot of different things, he may not be developmentally at the age of 24, but he at least is developmentally at a teenage level when it comes to cooking. So therefore, he needs to know how to cook. Because what if I'm sick? and I can't get out the bed to go fix him something to eat, and he has to fix himself something to eat, then I have to have things that he can prepare safely, and everything can't be microwavable. That's good. That is very, very good, Toya, because it is common for someone on the spectrum to not understand that. It is common for them not to understand that, and it has nothing to do with whether they're high functioning or, you know, severely autistic. It just has to do with their brain, you know, registering that. Because you remember, one of the things with people on the spectrum is that it's hard for them in a lot of situations to make eye contact, and that's probably the reason why it's harder for them to read people's expressions, because it's hard for them to look people in the eye. And I know I'm giving a whole bunch of information, you guys. Hey, Chewy LTD, how are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. She reviews everything. How are you? Thank you for coming in. Shake it up, Shantae. Thank you guys for coming in. Yeah, I'm starting out the program unlike I normally do. I don't normally start out my program talking about autism, but today I had to, because I had a situation and I just need to work it out with y'all in my mind. But again, like I said, at the end of the day, his dad and I did agree that we are going to work together, and that he is going to be more understanding of the fact that just like he has a full-time job, that I also have a full-time job. Even though I work from home, I'm working. And it shouldn't be all on me to go research and figure and find things to help our son. You know, if he, you know, and either one of us should be comfortable having that discussion with his caseworker, and then bringing that information back to the other party. But that's where we were having a little bit of a conflict. And guys, please don't forget to smash that like button so that I know that you like my content. And I hope that I'm not boring anybody with this stuff about autism, because I really feel that people need to know about it. Because even if you don't know someone now who has autism, I promise you, you will know someone who has autism. And it may be somebody who's already an adult, because autism does not end at the age of 18. And that's one of the main reasons why I push so hard to get this information out, because my son is an adult. He may be that adult that you meet. And I want you to be nice to him. And I want you to be nice to all of these adults who are aging out and becoming adults. Because they just want to be accepted. Hey, Leffer, thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming on in. I'm just starting off the show with autism. And just telling people about the journey that we're about to go on with my son with adaptive behavior therapy. And that it's going to be much more of a challenge for him to get this because he's an adult now. But he's going to do well. He's going to do well because I'm his mama. And I will, do anything to make sure that he has the best quality of life. And one of the ways for him to have that is for him to go through this adaptive behavior therapy so that he can help himself to not do certain things, and then also help himself to understand, a lot of the social rules, be able to get the living skills that he needs, like without his someone being there. Like he doesn't have to have someone there to tell him to get dressed, to tell him to brush his teeth, to tell him to cook something, to tell him to go to work, because that is really the level that we want him to get to. Even if he is never fully independent, I just need him to be semi-independent, because I don't trust anybody besides me and his dad to, look out for his best interests once I'm not here. But as I tell everybody, I plan on living until I'm 100. So that means I've got almost 50 more years, almost. Not quite, maybe about 45 more years of living. So today was a very stressful day, but at the end of the day, we are getting the things in place that my son needs, because one of the critical things that we're going to get is something that's called CPR, and it's not the CPR that you think. This CPR is emergency services that are available 24 hours a day. If you have escalated situations with someone on the spectrum. And the reason that these services are available is because, once again, the police are not properly trained to deal with people on the spectrum. So these people will help a parent or a caregiver out if something happens in the middle of the night and you need assistance. So I now have that, and I haven't had that before. And believe me, I've needed it, because when I do my video on the dark side of autism, which I'm going to be doing this coming week, you guys will understand probably more about what I'm dealing with when you sometimes get the aggressive behavior. But the easiest way to describe it is, imagine an adult having the same kind of tantrum that a 2-year-old has. Just imagine a fully grown person having that kind of tantrum, falling out, kicking, screaming, biting, hitting, all of that. That is something that can happen with an adult on the spectrum, with a teen on the spectrum. And it's something that can happen throughout life for some people, which is the reason why my son is going to be getting some of this adaptive behavior therapy, because he needs it, and because it will help him. Yeah, he's eating some potato chips in the background, guys. But he is here, while I'm here talking to you guys. And my son is usually here when I'm talking on camera. Yeah. And Chewy, the thing is that people don't like to talk about the dark side of autism. People but it's a reality for a lot of people, for a lot of parents at certain parts of life. Now, I will say that it's not something that happens every day. It's not an everyday thing, but it happens more than once a week. So, at some level. And it's behaviors that come out of frustration because they can't articulate what they're feeling fully. And that is even if the person is high functioning and fully verbal, they still may not be able to articulate what's going on in their brain and how they're feeling. They just know that they feel like hitting themselves, and that makes them feel better. But that behavior may be acceptable if we're a child, but as an adult, we have to find a different way to deal with that. And stemming behaviors are things that even people who aren't on the spectrum have. We all have like our little quirks of certain things that we do. Like, I'm always twirling my hair. That's my thing. That's what I do. I twirl my hair. So, and I don't even notice that I'm doing it. People usually notice that I'm doing it. Like, and it's usually when I'm really in thought, I start twirling my hair. But, that was a instrumental meeting today. It was a good meeting because some services that my son might not necessarily normally get as an adult, I'm believing that he is going to get because he needs them. Really, Chewy? And see, that's one of the things that I know people on the spectrum do at certain points in life suffer from depression because, even though we may not think they know that they're different. My son is he doesn't talk a whole bunch. You can't get more than a few words out of him at a time. He's not going to give you a full conversation. But he has known that he was different since he was a child. He knows he has autism. He knows that whatever things that he's doing, he knows that he's doing them because of the autism. And I see him a lot of times fighting with himself to not do things. But it's like he has to do it because his brain is telling him he has to do this so it can feel right. But he did have some depression, but in his situation, when he was younger, I'm not sure if depression was natural, organic depression, or if it was because at that particular time he was on meds because he was part of the clinical trial for Abilify to be used on people with autism. And that was the reason why we stopped him after the trial was over, because being on meds caused him to be depressed and to be sad. And I know it was the medicine that did it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Terry, one of my son, I'll give you an example. We have a rule about the phone, okay? And then this is dealing with inappropriate behavior. After a certain time at night, you don't call people. And most of the time, he abides by that rule. But sometimes he'll call somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, he's not calling any of my people. He's not calling any of my people, okay? Because he doesn't have their phone numbers. But by some way, my son has a photographic memory when it comes to numbers. So he went through his dad's phone and memorized the numbers and then put them all in his phone. So he has everybody's number out of his dad's phone. And those are the people he calls in the middle of the night. And so we've had people block him from calling their phones, put him on the do not call thing. And it continues. Every once in a while he does it. I mean, literally today I had to delete somebody else's number out of his phone. So that's one of the things that he does that's inappropriate. But if you try to take the phone from him, it's going to be a problem and it can become a violent situation. Yeah, it can, and it almost became that when we were in the meeting, when his father asked me to take the phone from him and start taking the numbers out of it. And then he tried to do it. And then he saw that my son was going around us to get to that daggone phone. So we got a lot of behaviors that he has. But the mental health things, I think that he doesn't have as many of the mental health issues now because he's not taking any meds, number one. And number two, because he's getting better at articulating that he's angry or that he's sad or you know, when he's doing the hitting, I ask him why he's doing it, and he can tell me at least. You know, he says it. You know, he does the hitting because he thinks the hitting is going to stop whatever he's feeling. If that makes any sense. Hey, Ice Rose, I haven't seen you in a minute. Thank you for coming through. But the ultimate goal for my son is for him to be a functioning member of society. And the field that he really wants to go into is music. And he's musical. He has perfect recall when it comes to music. Perfect pitch. You know, and we want to help him to flourish in that. But at this point, that's at least a year away because it's going to take at least a year. At least a year to get him to the point that he needs to get to with his behaviors, because there's quite a few things that he does. And you know, when I reach out to other parents, because I'm trying to find out is this the autism or is this just my kid? But I'm finding out that a lot of the stuff is the autism, and it's like there's like no rhyme or reason for it at all. Yeah, I mean, because I got him to the point, Terry, where I can see that he's angry, and I'm like, and I ask him, I'm like, are you angry? Why are you so upset? What's going on? I asked him, and he, you know, if he's angry, he'll usually be able to, once he's calmed down, because it takes him a minute to calm down to the point that he can just say, I'm angry. But the problem is that he's not always able to tell you what he's angry about. He just knows that he's mad. So that's what I'm hoping that we'll be able to get through doing this year of this intense therapy he's going to be in, is to really get to the root of why he does certain things So he knows why he does them. You know what I'm saying? Him figuring out the behaviors and why the behaviors feel so good to him to do. Hey, J-Dog. Thank you so much for coming through. I've been missing all of Chef and More stuff. But today I missed her for a good reason. I was at a meeting for my son. So, you know. Y'all, it's not easy raising a black man. I'm going to just tell y'all. Because even though my son is an adult, you know, he's still really a teenager as far as how he acts. You know what I mean? So he still needs to be raised, you know? And my hope is that, you know, going forward, that both his dad and I are more on the same page with how we treat him, and that we treat him age appropriate and don't baby him and don't do things for him because he's taken too long to do them. You know? But I took y'all for almost an hour with the autism. So how is everybody doing? I know I probably poured that out on y'all big time. I appreciate y'all listening, but it's just like so critical because I know what I'm going through. Somebody else is going through that. Somebody else is going through that and has to deal with the things, you know, because what I find is that across the social economic lines, a lot of children whose parents are not as well to do don't necessarily get as much adaptive behavior therapy growing up as they should. And so that's why I'm talking about all of this, because I don't want other people to have to do this when their child is an adult. And I will tell you that getting it for the children at a younger age, and I know that's something that you're doing, Toya, is so critical. It's so critical to how successfully our children grow up. It's so critical to how many of our kids are actually able to graduate from high school and go to college if they want to. It's so critical in how many of our kids are able to go out and get a job. It's so critical in this happening because it will change the world's perception of adults with autism. It's critical, and it's really critical for Black and Brown, because I'm going to probably say this till I'm blue in my face. For our boys, the vaccinations being bundled make our children more susceptible to becoming people with autism. And that's from the highest functioning to you can barely tell that they have it, down to someone who's severely autistic and banging their head against walls and rocking and lashing out at everybody and completely not communicating through any matter. That's how important the adaptive behavior therapy is, because it works even for someone who is severely autistic. It can help them to not be as severely autistic, if that makes any sense. Hey! Oh my goodness. Kuya Koi TV. Thank you. Thank you for coming through, my new friend. I have to tell y'all this. I love my Filipino friends because they are loyal. Yes, you guys are loyal. I love the folks in the Philippines, and you guys can get the same knowledge over there in the Philippines about autism. What did you say, Toya? He was so excited at the zoo. I'm so happy for you, Toya. I am glad that I met you so that I can tell you things so that you will have a smoother path raising your son. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you everything I know. And I may not know a whole lot, but if I don't know it, I'll send you the way to somebody who knows it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it because I'm loyal too. I'm like, y'all don't even know. Like every day I go through the 1,000-something people that I'm subscribed to, and I go looking for videos. Now some people barely put out videos. Some people only do live streams, but I'll jump in their live streams, or I'll go look at the replays of their live streams. And I'm gonna tell y'all some of my favorite channels to go look at. I actually love watching the gaming channels because, you know, back in the day, I gamed. I still do a little bit of gaming, but not a whole bunch. But I still do a lot. But it's so cool to watch the games. It's so cool and you can like be in a zone, just watching that. I mean, it's like watching a movie. It's like watching a movie. So, and y'all know that the gaming channels that's like the largest. They're like the largest YouTube community. But I'm gonna tell you something. The gamers are the most loyal. They're some of the most loyal subscribers. And you got gamers of all ages, because you got some grandmas out there and grandpas out there who are gamers and have gaming channels. It is so funny to see all the different kinds of games, because everybody's not doing Fortnite and everybody's not doing the San Andreas one. I can't remember which one that is. Street Crimes. They're doing all kinds of different games. And then I actually am starting to really, really get into the ASMR channels. I found one where they're eating certain foods and everything. And I think I like the ASMR mukbangs better than the ones where people are talking. Does that sound crazy to you guys? Hey, Matt. Thank you for coming in. We're past the serious part of the conversation. Now I'm laughing because I've done all the serious talk. But guys, today they were talking more about that book we were talking about last night. It comes out next Tuesday, FYI, if anybody wants to get Robin Crawford's book. And they were talking more about it. She actually worked with Whitney Houston all the way up until 2000. But I was right when I was talking about this yesterday. They met like in high school. So apparently this is something that happened when they were like when they were like camp counselors or something. And it went on for years, for like 7 years. Yeah, that's it, Grand Theft Auto. And I don't know why I couldn't remember that one, because Toya, that's the only one I play. I play that one, and I do the ATF, off-road ones where they just driving the off-road vehicles on the dunes. I do those. Those are the ones I do. But you know, I'm just, when I'm looking around YouTube, I'm trying to tell y'all, man, there is so much positivity out there that it so outweighs all the drama. So outweighs all the drama. You know? And what was I going to say? Oh, I'm almost ready. I'm almost ready to start doing panels. I think I'll probably start doing panels sometime later on this month, but only like when I'm doing like certain topics and everything. So I might do one that I'm going to need your assistance on, Terry, because I think I should do one because you did work, you know, with adults that had autism or were on the spectrum and everything, and I think I would just like to get your perspective on a panel and everything, because people don't realize that in the Black and brown community, autism is really at a critical level. A lot of our kids are somewhere on the spectrum, even if they're just mildly autistic, because of them daggone vaccines. And there's so much stigma that has been in the past on workability that is the area that I'm really thinking that we'll be challenged in, because you already have the issues of people not being able to get better jobs if they didn't go to college. You know what I mean? And you know, there's a vast number of our kids that are on the autism spectrum that don't go to college, not because they can't go to college, but because they weren't educated to go to college, or because they just don't think that they can handle college. You know what I mean? So some of them may just have a high school diploma and, you know, may or may not do community college. And so when people don't want to hire somebody who doesn't have a disability, that only has a high school education, just think how hard it is for someone who does have a disability and a developmental disability. And, you know, gone are the days where they could pay them $2.15 an hour to sit at Goodwill. No offense to Goodwill, at Goodwill though, and be putting together little things, you know, that I don't know who bought them, you know, just doing that kind of stuff. They have to, if you're going to teach crafts and stuff to someone on the spectrum so that they can A, have their own company or work for someone else, then it has to be something that is, you know, a viable trade. Because like in Florida, there is this catering company that is fully employed by people on the spectrum. And that's another thing that my son likes to do. He likes to cook. But here, there's not a cooking school for people on the spectrum. There was, but it was like 50 miles from here, and they closed it down 2 years ago. Lack of funding, you know? Hey, John. How are you? Thank you for coming through. Yeah, I've been up here going off about autism. I had a meeting today for my son, and it didn't start off very well because me and his dad were not on the same page. We're still not really on the same page, but we're closer to being on the same page about our son, you know. But yeah, I mean, just that's one of the things that I always got clicking through my head. What kind of business can I come up with that my son can do so that he can take care of himself when I'm not here? I'm always thinking about stuff like that because, you know, even if he gets out there and gets a job, you know, I don't think that that's going to be enough. I really think that I have to help him to create his path. That's why, you know, him going into doing music and stuff and going to that program in another year where he'll be learning stuff in the entertainment industry, learning like, you know, studio recording, because they teach them like stuff to help them with, you know, being in studios and everything, the kind of stuff that they would learn, you know, if they were in, you know, a college or something for that, but they put them in like these apprenticeship programs and everything. And they specifically deal with people who are disabled, and it's primarily most of the adults that are in that program that he's going to be going into next year, because I'm going to speak it into existence that in 2021 my son is going to be in that program. But they, you know, they work in the music and in the film industry. You know, when you see programs where they have people that are disabled or have Down syndrome or whatever, you know, some of those people have gone through this program because the studios hired them from this place. This is why, you know, I want to get him into that program, because the entertainment industry appears to be more open to people on the spectrum, because a lot of our kids are very creative, as we see with Mr. Cody Lee, you know. And then you have that young man, the British young man in the UK that's of African descent, that does those pictures of buildings and everything from memory, because he has a photographic memory and he draws all of that stuff out in detail. He's an artist, you know, and the autism helps him with his art. Like with my son, the autism really is what it helps him with his music. And then, he got some of the musical ability from his mama, but I don't have perfect pitch. So he got that on his own. But yeah, that going back to the book that Robin Crawford wrote. Hey, John, did you hear about that book that Robin Crawford wrote? It's coming out next Tuesday about her life with Whitney Houston. Yeah, she's outing Whitney in that book. And I'm surprised actually that nobody in the family is saying a daggone thing. I haven't heard anything from anybody. Nothing is in the news media. Because when they were talking about that book a few months ago, they didn't even say that was going to be in the book. That's just now being let out, and I think that was purposely done. Probably because if something had been said earlier, someone in the family might have tried to stop it. But I don't know how I feel about her outing Whitney when Whitney's not here to defend herself. But then maybe it's probably better that Whitney's not here to defend herself and that Bobby Christina's not here, because I think those are the two people who will be the most impacted by this information. It doesn't really impact her family, that much. And for all we know, they might know. They may have known about it. You know what I mean? Because I can't see that if she had a 7-year relationship with this young lady, that the family doesn't know anything about it or had no clue. I find that hard to believe. Especially as close as she was to her mama. Oh, you taught your son how to do PS2? Yeah, my son just liked to watch the cars crash on the PlayStation. So I'm keeping my daggone PlayStation. Thank you very much. He just liked to watch them crash. Because I had given him my PlayStation 2 when I upgraded to a 3 or a 4. I don't know which. I have one of those. I don't know which one it is. I know I don't have like whatever it is now. I have the model before that. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. And I'm planning, like I said yesterday, if they have an Audible version of that book, I'm getting it because I want to hear her reading it. I want to hear her doing the book if she did an audio version. Because if there's an audio version, y'all know she's doing it. She wouldn't get nobody else to read that for her. That's what I'm saying, Terry. Somebody had to know. And the fact that they're saying that nobody has said anything, nobody's tried to get around this or anything, means they don't care. I either have that one or a 4. I think I have a 4. I don't know. But it's going to be, that book is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Oh, guys, do you know? Apparently, Popeyes is running out of those daggone sandwiches again. You know, the sandwich that I'm not going to go buy. They're having fights. I heard about another fight again. But at least this one didn't end in death like the one in Oxon Hill, Maryland. I had an Xbox, but I don't have one anymore. I did have an Xbox. I have both. I had both. But the Xbox left with its owner. And I kept my PlayStation. I was dating somebody who liked to play on Xbox. So I had their Xbox. And then when we stopped dating, they took the Xbox. But that was years ago. That's what I'm saying, John. Nobody's saying a daggone thing. But that's probably because they too busy doing that crazy virtual Whitney mess with the 3D Whitney. Because apparently they're the ones, Pat or whoever is behind that nonsense. They're doing some other mess. Hey, Marriage and Marijuana. I saw you guys in the stream earlier today. And TR Nairi. Man, TR Nairi was going off on some folks in his stream today. They were making him upset. And he basically had to let some people know who he really is on his screen. It was so funny. Because he has this little channel that he uses as a growth stream, you know, to help other YouTubers out. But I guess people were thinking that he was pressed and everything, and he had to, you know, let them know. I know that hologram doesn't look a daggone thing like Whitney. Shame on them. Shame on them for that hologram. Yeah, but TR Nairi was, you know, I knew I had seen him like somewhere else on YouTube. And when he said that he has like 5 channels, I'm like, that's it. And that, you know, he's doing this channel because he wants to help other YouTubers. He's like, I guess somebody said something crazy in the stream about how his channel sucked. You don't tell no Jamaican nothing like that. It was his accent came out, but he basically told them who he was in no uncertain terms. You know, and that channel, he said, this channel is to help y'all. I don't need this. I have 5 channels. And he was like, and I never say anything about he said, I never say anything about those other channels. I don't have to. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. But yeah, that hologram doesn't look a daggone thing like Miss Whitney. Hey, Dines. Thank you for coming in. Yes, I was. Thank you so much for coming. Hey, Sexy Too Much For You. I like your name. I like your name, Sexy Too Much For You. Yeah, y'all. Yesterday, the only time I was on YouTube was when I did that quick stream in the middle of the day. And then when I did my live last night. Let me show you. There we go. I'm listening, but are you serious? Wow, Matt. Sorry. Yeah, I don't get into the Trump conversations with nobody on YouTube at all. Hey, I subscribe to some people who are Trump supporters, and there are some Trump supporters who have subscribed to me. I'm nonpartisan. Period. Period. I'm nonpartisan. And in California, nonpartisan independent voters is the largest growing voter. Yeah, people are getting registered to vote out here in California, a whole bunch of people, but they're switching from Democrat and Republican to independent because they don't want to deal with that crap. You guys know that PG&E, you know, the one that's in bankruptcy up in Northern California, the ones who had people's electricity off for weeks. It is estimated that they're responsible for millions of dollars in the fires. Yep. Even though they turned off people's electricity, they still want their bankrupt butts are still going to have to pay some money. It probably is. Nobody wants to be a Democrat or a Republican. We're sick of the party system. At least I am. You know. But next week should be a very interesting week, guys. I guess since Monday is when we're observing Veterans Day, there won't be any hearings on Monday. But I guess the rest of the week, we're going to be in impeachment hearings. You know? And I vaguely remember the Bill Clinton ones. I vaguely remember that because I mean I was grown, but I was grown. I don't remember anything about Nixon other than I remember his when he resigned. I remember his speech when he resigned. But I really did not understand fully about Watergate until, you know, obviously I really didn't fully understand about Watergate until I studied about it in one of my classes in college. And then I still had to do a little bit more research as an adult to really understand about Watergate. They start on Wednesday. See, I knew you would know. That's why I have my political science man in the chat, Mr. John Moore. He knows. Yeah, but that's what I was figuring. So they won't start them on Tuesday because Tuesday is really their Monday. Yeah. It's going to be interesting, this, you know, because some other stuff came out like this, like today. where they're talking about Trump's foundation, and about how they took money from the foundation and put it into his political campaign.
Cool.
Did anybody hear that one today? Because it was a bunch of stuff that they were talking about that they're admitting to. Misuse of funds. I thought the hearings next week, isn't it it's going to be the Senate? It's the Senate hearings, isn't it? Because the House of Representatives is the ones who want this, but the Senate has to actually do the actual impeachment hearings. Isn't that correct? I mean, I remember a little bit of political science. JM, I'm asking. Right, he had to pay $2 million. And his foundation doesn't even exist anymore. They had to shut down. Isn't that funny? His foundation had to shut down. And isn't it funny? Wasn't there some issue? Isn't this similar to the issues that they had about the Clintons? Some foundation that the Clintons were involved in when Bill Clinton first came into office. Because I mean, wasn't he friends with the head of some SNLs and stuff? House Intelligence Committee. Okay, so it is the House. Okay, all right. And then after the hearings, then it goes to the Senate. Right? Well, Trump's youngest, isn't that the kid he has with Melania? And isn't that kid isn't his son only 12 or something? Toya, there have been rumors that kid, the youngest kid that he has with Melania, may be on the spectrum, but he doesn't want anybody to know. But you barely see his son, so who knows, And I wouldn't put that on the kid, but I've heard things like that. Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is that they tried to pull their foundation, and I'm not sure if it's the Clinton Foundation that they had. Now, it was something that they were involved in prior to Bill Clinton taking office. That something that happened in Arkansas. Because I know there was because one of the people that he was friends with was the president of one of the SNLs that went under, when all the SNLs went under. And the only reason I remember any of that, because I used to work for an SNL. I worked for several SNLs before the RTC came and shut them all down. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, Toya. I don't know. It was rumored it was a rumor floating around that his youngest son is possibly on the spectrum. Yeah, I know. Goes to the floor. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is like only the second time that we've actually done the full impeachment. I didn't even think that they were going to do this. Yes, that's it. Whitewater. Yes, because that stuff was also involved in the SNL, the failing of the SNL. I think Lincoln Savings. That's the one that was involved in Whitewater. It was the guy who was over at Lincoln Savings. I knew it would come to me. Once you said what it was, it came to me. Yeah, and the Senate will be the Senate is the jury. That's the part that I was thinking about when it gets to the Senate. When it gets to the Senate is the jury. This whole situation. I mean, like I said before, this going into impeachment and all that stuff, and yeah, the stuff that they're bringing out right now, John, is old news to some, but it's not old news to everyone. You know what I mean? It's just kind of sad to think that we have a dirty president. You know, I mean, I know he was shiesty, you know, but the things that he's being accused of, you know, I mean, of, you know, getting assistance. And we're not even talking about the previous election. We're talking about stuff that he's trying to do right now, or that he was trying to do right now. And that's how they're able to bring up all of that stuff that happened with the 2016 campaign. So it just makes him look worse. You know what I mean? It makes him look worse. Yeah, and that's the thing. The whole thing with Clinton was about, they impeached him for being immoral. Really, it was about him being immoral. He wasn't running the country bad. You know, because when he left office, the United States was in the black. It was the next president that took us into the red. You know, so yeah. Because, you know, you got to think about it. Clinton only served one term. They made sure he wasn't going to be in there but one term. You know? Heck, they couldn't find anything on 44. 44 was so clean, they couldn't do anything. So he served both of his terms. Now, you know, none of us probably agree with everything that 44 did, but he didn't, you know, he was so clean. He was probably the cleanest president, the most scandal-free president we've ever had. I know he has, but and we all agreed that he is running the United States like it's one of his companies, So this whole, we just look so foolish. We look so foolish in the eyes of the world right now. But I'm sure the UK feels that they look foolish too, because they have their version of Trump as their prime minister right now. And that man is an immigrant, apparently. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, to see if Brexit ever happens. That's funny. That's another thing. And that's supposed to happen in March. But my friends across the pond, they all tell me that it's never going to happen. So I don't even know how Brexit ever got through. How did something that nobody wanted, make it through and get approved? Oh, that's because they worded it some crazy way to make people think that they were voting for something else. Kind of like they do on things here in the United States. Y'all know? Word things in the whatever the bill a certain way so that it's confusing to the voter. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not even a native of the UK. And everybody I talk to, in the YouTube community that's from across the pond can't stand him. They all think he's an idiot. And they compare him to Trump. So that's really not good. But that would explain a lot if he was born in New York, John. Oh, well, you see, I don't know. I need to ask some of my friends who work for the government, because I don't work for the government. I work for private industry. That's why I don't live in my hometown. If I had gone back home after college, I would probably be working for the federal government, because my mom worked for the federal government. She'd have helped me get a job with the federal government. I'd have probably been working for the patent office like my mom did. Because most of my friends at home they either work for the city of DC, or they work for, the federal government, or they work for Maryland government. Yep. Most of my friends back home do. And out of the people that I went to high school with, there are 3 of us that don't live in the DC area. Everybody else still lives back home, because it's a great place to live and grow up. So why am I in California? Because my son has autism. And California has the best services for people with autism. But getting those services, that's where the challenge lies. That's where the challenge lies. Because trying to get the funding, because I already know I'm going to be fighting to get all of the funding that I am going to need for my son to go to that ABA. And I'm going to be fighting with the state which is what the regional center, and insurance over who's going to pay for it, because somebody going to pay for it. You know, somebody is paying for it. And I'm, you know, that's why I'm glad that I got in contact with this lady that's out there at that place, because she said she's going to help me, and she don't realize she about to help me right now. We're going to get this ball rolling so that I have him in those services by the end of the year. And it's going to be a challenge. So I hope that they have a site that is in Los Angeles versus the only site they have is way out in the San Fernando Valley. Because if we have to go out to the valley, it's going to be a challenge. Because it's traffic. Yeah. So I'm hoping that they have a site on this side of the hill. And they should, because they got to have a site on this side of the hill. Oh, I already know. I already know that Matt. He don't care about us. He don't give a damn about nobody else but himself. He really don't care, and he don't care about the people who voted for him. So, and if they think he cares about them after all the things that he didn't do for them, then they're absolute fools. You know, he promised those people that they weren't going to lose their jobs, and you know the industry was going to stay. Man, you know, folks was out of here faster than a speeding bullet. That's why he's putting those tariffs on China, so he can make those businesses that went over to China come back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask somebody. I'm gonna ask somebody who works for the federal government. Well, I know there was these ladies that started selling pies and stuff during the government shut off to make extra money. And they ended up getting featured on the Ellen Show. Or was it Steve Harvey? No, they were on both of them, I think. Anyway, those ladies that lady no longer works for the federal government. She has her own pie making business now. She was able to retire. So, yeah. I wonder how many people who are voting remember the government shutdown and people almost losing their houses and everything. Man, Trump's spiritual advisor, I believe, is still Paula White. So he don't even have someone who has sound doctrine as his spiritual advisor. So he pretends, he thinks, I don't know, I know Trump doesn't think he's a Christian. He can't think he's a Christian. And I don't understand how any Christian is voting for that man. That's just me. That's just me and my thinking. But right now, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens next week. To see if that has any effect. Because I'm not listening to any of the predictors talking all this stuff about it's canceling his career. This man has come back from the dead so many times. So, yeah. And even if they do impeach him, let's see who's going to be able to get him up out of the White House if they impeach him. You know what I mean? Yep. Well, Paula White is the same woman that broke up the marriage of another pastor that she was supposedly, a sister church to, and I think they ended up together or something crazy. So, I'm not listening to that woman. She don't have nothing else to say. She has a very shaky past as a Christian. And so I don't know why he got her, because that don't impress nobody. That doesn't impress anybody. I just want to hear, I want to get the testimony of the whistleblowers. That's what I'm interested in seeing, what they have to say. I want to see what they have to say. And by all means, y'all, make these impeachment hearings entertaining, since y'all are going to post them all over the television and the internet. And it's going to be the news of the day, Wednesday through Friday. And be ready for Mr. Trump to start exercising his First Amendment rights. He's going to be all over Twitter during that same time period. And y'all know this. Did I tell y'all that? No, I didn't tell y'all that. When 44 exited office, his Twitter account, he changed to a different Twitter account. So, I unfollowed, president, because I wasn't following, the new person. Do you know that man, that he put everybody who had followed 44 and made them his followers, I had to unfollow that fool? I said, oh no, I don't need to follow you to see your tweets. I really don't. Oh yeah, I know they do. They're the reasons why we are still at war. They are the reason why we have been at war since before my child was born. So that means we have been in some type of war-ish situation since the early 90s. Actually, the late 80s. 89 and 90. Yep. So that means that from 90 to 2020, that's a long time, y'all, to be at war. That's a long time. That's a long time to be at war. You know, because, you know, realistically, we were already in a war situation before 9/11. So, yeah. We were already in a war situation. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have been at war my son's entire life. And we have been at war for most of my adult life. Isn't that, you know, isn't that crazy, y'all, to think about that we have been at war most of the time that most of us have been adults, and some of us weren't even adults when we started. Some of us were kids and are now adults. Yeah, this is just, you know, and the only reason why it's not in our faces. So we as a country tend to forget about the fact that we're friggin' in a war. It's not World War III, but we're at war because we over here doing all of this stuff for these countries in the Middle East and have been doing that. That's where it started, and it has stayed there forever. Forever. We still have people over in Korea, John, in South Korea. Or is it North Korea that we need to have a peace agreement with? Because that'll never happen. That fool is just as crazy as our president. So we still have a military presence in Korea because we never officially left there. Wow. So we've been at war for 50 plus years then. We don't know how to clean up behind ourselves. North Korea. Yep. Yeah, that's never gonna happen. So, you know, hey. Never gonna happen with that crazy fool. Those two together won't come to any type of agreement. You know? Nobody can, you know, you would think two crazies might be able to make a plan. Wow. That's crazy. You know what? I guess I had to think about that, you know, because when people go into the military, you know, they could be stationed anywhere, wherever we have a military presence. Wow. So part of us being an ally to these countries like South Korea is also us having a military presence over there. Wow. Maybe that's why Korea's two countries now, because of U.S. interference. We have a way of messing things up. Oh yeah, that's right. Because technically, we are not at war with part of Korea, but part of it we still have disagreement with. Wow. Yeah, that is true. So that just makes it more somber. If you think about it, it just means that we don't know how to clean up behind ourselves. We don't know how to end war. So we're just wasting money around the world. You know, sending these military men places for no reason because we don't know how to clean up our own mess. Hey, Timer 66, how are you? Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's about us being allies to everybody. Because we don't have no peace treaties with the opposing, you know, it's just all so crazy. It's all crazy. When you think about that. Sorry, y'all, I'm opening up some potato chips. My favorite junk food is potato chips. If I ate potato chips all the time, I'd be fat too. Potato chips and French fries. Potatoes, my favorite food. If I ate it as much as I love it, I'd weigh at least 200 pounds. Yep. And it would be in all the wrong places. Is it the East Coast? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That young man, because he's young, but he's evil. That young man, he's not wrapped too tight. You know? Didn't he have his own brother killed? Didn't he have his brother killed? Another 10 minutes, John. About another 10 minutes, John. Yeah, I'll be on for about another 10 minutes. I'm always on for at least 2 hours. Even if I come on late, I'm still going to do my 2 hours. But I should be on at the regular time tomorrow. I came on like almost 30 minutes late today. Yep, so I will be on until a little after 12, my time. Yeah, that's what I knew he had his brother killed. Yeah, I remember the uncle. Yeah, but I knew he had his brother killed. He had his brother killed. So, yeah, that's not the kind of man you want to do business with. And, he and Mr. Trump are playing who's crazier, which one of us is the crazier game. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Because the North Koreans have no more stopped building nuclear warheads than there are still 9 planets in our solar system. You know, they're doing exactly what they want to do. And they don't give a hoot what anybody says. You know? Anywho, it's going to be like that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But he had his brother poisoned. That's what I'm talking about. Because they like touched him with something and poisoned him. They like pricked him with a needle or something. So yeah, he was assassinated. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Don't take me back to New Jack City. Don't take me to New Jack City. Has anybody seen Dolomite yet? Anybody seen that movie with Eddie? What? Did Sony get hacked?
What?
Wow. Sony got hacked. Sony Pictures got hacked. Their email got hacked. Yeah, when all those emails came out, they were saying some shady stuff about people. That was not a good look for Sony Pictures at all. You know, it just showed you what they really thought, though. You know what I mean? It is good. Okay, because I started watching it, but I was too sleepy, so I only watched like the first 20 minutes. But it's on Netflix, so I'm gonna watch it. So, guys, guess next week I'm finally getting a new TV. I'm finally getting a new TV to replace the Meltdown TV. But I think that I'm going to have the Meltdown TV put in my son's room. And then he will have a TV in his room. It still works. It just has a sort of slight distortion in the picture. You know. So yeah, but I'm gonna get the TV. I'm gonna get it on, I think Monday or Tuesday. I think Tuesday. Yeah, on Tuesday. So I'm probably gonna do the 90 days same as cash. And David doesn't know it, but he's donating towards it. You know, every month until I'm going to be taking money out of his money to pay for the new TV. Because instead of getting him a TV, which is what I was going to be doing, I was going to get him a TV. I had to get me a new TV for the living room. So he doesn't get a new TV. He doesn't get a TV. And since this other TV still works, I'll just put it upstairs in his room and leave the antenna on it, and then he can at least watch regular TV upstairs. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at. Well, I'm replacing a Hisense which is from way back, and it's a it's when the TVs were heavier, and and I'm getting a Samsung smart TV because this is an older smart TV, but it's it's a 55-inch, but it's like the first generation of them. Went after the plasma TVs. I've had everything. I had a plasma TV before this one, and then when the plasmas were the best thing to have, but the only thing is those suckers get hot, and you got to turn, and the plasma TV can literally have the whole room warm, and so after a while you don't really want to have a plasma TV. So I had got rid of that one, and now I've had this for like 4 years, 5 years. No. You know what Jovi said? I feel the same way as Josie does. I'll wait for it to come on I'll wait for it to come on free, on cable or something, and then I've also heard that it's not getting very good reviews either. They're calling it a train wreck. What did you think about it, Latoya? Because my thoughts are, with all these American actresses, y'all go and get this chick from the UK or wherever the heck she's from. Who, yeah. Wonder why they didn't, why didn't they let somebody like Janelle Monáe play it? Janelle can act her butt off. I mean, she was in the movie, yes. And granted, she's lighter skinned and doesn't really look like Harriet. But heck, we got a few good actresses that are over here, like that chick on Orange is that was on Orange is the New Black, the one whose name I can't pronounce, who went to Juilliard. The one who played the crazy chick on Orange is the New Black. They could have got her to play Harriet Tubman, or they could have got the one who played as Danielle. Because I think she's on Broadway right now. Just think, I'm like, I can think of some Black actresses that are American who actually have ancestors that were slaves. Really? Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't even think, did I see 12 Years as a Slave? I don't even think I saw that movie. I think I watched half of it and I had to get up and walk away. Yeah. I didn't see the whole movie. 12 Years as a Slave, the one that Lupita was in, yeah. I saw half of it and had to walk away. I couldn't watch it. And I still haven't watched How They See Us, the movie about the guys, the Central Park Five. Can't do it. I already know it's gonna make me mad. I already know. I already have my feelings. I don't want to be in my feelings. I don't want to be in the hate white people feelings. So I don't want to. That's why I'm not. So I feel I don't need to watch that. Oh, that movie. Now that movie was ridiculous. And the only thing I did not like Samuel L's role in that movie. Man, they had him cooning so much. Oh, I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it. That's why I said I had to walk away. I didn't even watch the whole movie, girl. I didn't even watch the whole movie. I had to walk away. You know? And, you know, that's what, like, you know, like when the new Roots came out, I had to make myself sit down and watch it, you know, because I wanted my son to see it. So I sat down and watched it with him because I'm like, you know, I know how I felt when I saw the original. I hope this don't make me feel the same way when I sat down to watch, you know, the new reiteration of Roots. Yeah, it's When They See Us. Yeah, that one. That's it. Yeah, I can't watch it. Mainly because, you know, like when that happened, you know, I mean, I was an adult. I watched all of this crap happen, you know, was, you know, pissed off. I mean, that was all happening during a time where, you know, we were dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. We were dealing with a whole bunch of stuff here in this country, you know, and especially in New York. I mean, there was just a lot of crap going on. Yeah, he did in that movie. I know. Maybe. I'll think about it, John. I'll think about it. You know. I'll think about it, you know. But I generally get pissed off watching those types of things because it's just like, you know, you just think about what all our ancestors went through. And my reason for not seeing the movie has more to do with the fact that they chose not to have someone of an American actress to play the part. That's what my issue really is with the Harriet Tubman movie, John, is that they got that British actress to play the part, and then she said some disparaging things about us because she did not live the experience. You know what I mean? She's not the child of who's a descendant from slaves. She doesn't know the diaspora experience as being in her blood, you know? So that was my feelings, and that's the reason why I did not want to see the movie. Because I don't know if she gets it. What are you planning on coming back out here right now? Are you planning on coming out here right now? While it's still in theaters? I don't know. I might. You know, I might. If you came out here, I would. Yeah. I mean, and see, Toya, I can watch it on my Fire Stick if I want to. I'm just not, my reasoning for not wanting to go to a theater and paying any money to see it is because of the actress playing the role and some disparaging things that she said. You know, has nothing to do with her acting ability. It had to do with her attitude as a person. of color that is not from a country that was built on slavery. I said that if you came out here, if you were here, yeah, maybe I would. I would go. If you wanted me to go, I'll go with you. Yeah, I'll go with you. But otherwise, I can wait. I'm not pressed. Yeah, it's about what she said. It's not about the movie, you know. And there's many of us who had a problem with the fact that they weren't having an African American actress to play that role. Yeah, it's not the movie that I had a problem with. It's the actress that I have a problem with. And I ain't trying to support her. If you feel me. That's what it is. You know, but I said, but Toya, I had heard some not so good reviews on it. Okay, we have a date then, for sure. Oh, you must be getting ready to come out here and you ain't telling me. You're playing with me right now, John. You must be coming out here soon, huh? You were just here. What are you talking about? You were just here. But yeah, we have a date. We have a movie date. Where are we in time? Oh, we made it past the 2 hour mark. And I know it's late for those of you on the East Coast, like you, John, and you, Toya, and Matt. I'm not sure where you are in the country, but even for those of us on the West Coast, it's after midnight. And if there's anybody who's still in the chat from the Philippines, yeah, it's tomorrow already. It's daytime, and they're probably getting ready to go to work. Oh, yeah, I know. Well, I guess I have a date to go see it, so. So. Yep, that's what I'm saying. It's 3:15 over there. So I got 6 hours before I have to be up, because I'm up at 6. So I'm going to, I think we've had a very good we always have good conversations, guys. Woo, we always have good conversations. I'm like, we went from talking about autism to talking about Whitney to talking about politics. It is always a pleasure. And when I start doing these panels, John Moore, you and Terry are going to have to jump up on here, because you know, both of you brothers have some really good opinions. You are more coming from the, you know, political science aspect, and with your more view perspective, and then you know, and then Terry is more coming from the pan African ideology. So I think we could have some really good discussions. So we will be back up tomorrow at 9:30 Pacific, at least for 2 hours of not so random chat. And it'll be Friday, so it could be anything that we talk about tomorrow night. Anything. So we will be back on tomorrow. And until then, everybody, as always, peace, everybody. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I actually will probably come on camera tomorrow night. All right? Bye, guys.